Who died this week? January 2026 Number 2 Celebrity deaths and more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. A somber cloud has swept across the worlds of entertainment, social media, and global culture this week as headlines carried heartbreak after heartbreak. Grief has sprawled from the stages of Hollywood to the sound stages of beloved television programs, across racetracks and into communities whose lives were touched by creativity, laughter, inspiration, and the fragile beauty of human connection. The early days of 2026 will be remembered not just as another turn of the calendar, but as a moment when the world paused to recognize the irreplaceable voices and spirits we lost. Among the luminaries, innovators, and beloved figures taken from us these past days, each story carries an echo of life lived with passion and purpose, and a reminder of the fragile, fleeting nature of fame, influence, and mortality. At the forefront of the most significant recent loss is Roger Allers, the celebrated animator, screenwriter, and film director whose name was synonymous with one of the most beloved animated films of all time, Disney's The Lion King. A visionary of the so-called Disney Renaissance, Allers helped shape the very heart of family and cinematic imagination. His passing at the age of 76 marked the end of an era for animation fans across generations. From the vibrant landscapes of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin to the majestic plains of The Lion King, Allers contributed to stories that became part of the emotional fabric of childhoods and family traditions around the globe. Tributes poured in from colleagues, admirers, and even the leadership of the Disney Company, who remembered him not just as a creative force, but as a mentor whose generosity of spirit inspired countless other artists. While the cause of his death remains undisclosed, the legacy he leaves behind is one of warmth, wonder, and enduring joy that will continue to inspire new storytellers for decades to come. In the broadcasting world, the respected Irish journalist Neil Martin passed away unexpectedly at the age of 58 after a short illness, leaving colleagues and audiences reeling from the suddenness of his loss. Martin had served as a reporter at RTE for decades, becoming a familiar face in Irish households and a trusted voice in reporting the stories of the nation. His passing was felt deeply by those within his professional family and the country at large, with on-air tributes and emotional dedications from co-workers underscoring the impact of both his journalistic integrity and his personal warmth. In the days following his death, his influence was honored not just in formal statements, but in the many moments of shared memories that reminded the public of the profound humanity a journalist can bring to every report. The world of youth television and sketch comedy was rocked by the tragic hit-and-run death of Kiana Underwood, a former Nickelodeon star who charmed audiences with her vivacity and talent. At just 33 years old, Underwood's life was cut short in Brooklyn when she was struck by a vehicle that fled the scene. Her journey from child actor to stage performer showcased a range of talent that extended beyond television into musical theater and live performance, where she touched the hearts of many with her energy and versatility. The outpouring of grief on social media from fans and fellow performers alike bore testament to the impact she had in her years on and off the screen, and the investigation into her death continues as the community seeks answers and accountability in a tragedy that resonated far beyond just her circle of friends and family. Tragedy also struck the digital realm with the passing of Nigerian social media influencer Esther Thomas, known affectionately by her fans as Sunshine. Her rise to prominence through skit-style comedic videos brought joy and laughter to hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms. Thomas's death after surgical complications at the beginning of the year left many in the online creator community in disbelief, reminding audiences that behind every online persona is a human life, cherished and irreplaceable. Tributes highlighted her generous spirit, her infectious energy, and the way she used humor to connect with diverse audiences, from Lagos to Los Angeles and beyond. In the UK, screens were darkened by the news of Marian Diamond, the beloved British actress famed for her role in the long-running Channel 4 drama Brookside and numerous credits that spanned radio, television, and film. At 89, Diamond had lived a life rich with creative achievement, from voicing characters in radio adaptations of The Lord of the Rings to appearing on iconic shows such as The Avengers and Sherlock Holmes. Fans and colleagues alike remembered her for her remarkable range, her dedication to craft, and the way she brought depth and humanity to every role. Tributes reflected how her voice had become part of the cultural tapestry of British entertainment, a steady presence through changing eras of performance and storytelling. While the focus of celebrity deaths often centers on the entertainment world, this week also brought deep sorrow to the world of sport and community with the memorial of Greg Biffle, the NASCAR legend whose life was tragically lost along with his family in a plane crash late last year. Biffle's indefatigable spirit and storied racing career had earned him a place among motor racing's most respected and admired figures. A ceremony filled with heartfelt eulogies and reflections on his career, his family, and his contributions to motorsport stood as a poignant reminder that behind every larger-than-life athlete is also a loved one whose absence is deeply felt in quiet, personal ways. The loss of Biffle's children alongside him made the tragedy even more poignant, underscoring the profound fragility of life even for those who seem larger than it in the public eye. Across these losses, a common theme emerges. The world is shaped not just by greatness on screens or stages, but by the connections forged between public figures and the communities that loved them. From animators who helped paint the soundtrack of childhood, to journalists who made sense of the world, to performers who brought laughter and art into our homes, each life lost has left behind a tapestry of memories that reflect how deeply people can touch lives beyond their immediate circles. Yet in the midst of confirmed sorrows, this week also served as a cautionary lesson about the rapid spread of misinformation in the digital age. Rumors of celebrity deaths, circulating from heart-stopping social media posts about major international stars, were debunked with clarifications that beloved figures such as Shah Rukh Khan, John Hamm, Andy Garcia, Sharon Stone, and Michael Caine are alive and well despite viral hoax reports. These false reports sparked waves of grief and relief in equal measure, as fans were reminded how quickly unverified information can spread online and how emotionally destabilizing it can be to see someone's name alongside R.I.P. before it's confirmed. As mourning continues across social platforms, award shows, sports arenas, theaters, and families' living rooms, those touched by these losses share stories, performances, and memories that ensure these figures will not be forgotten. Conversations turning to legacy, influence, and the future of the arts, media, and creator economies reflect both an admiration for what was contributed and a grappling with what is yet to be lost or gained in years ahead. Many journalists and commentators have also pointed to a broader cultural moment in which the world reevaluates how it honors the end of a life and how it holds onto the beauty of the life lived, a theme that resonates in fan art, memorial services, online tributes, and the many personal reflections shared publicly this week. In the wake of these departures, communities globally are finding solace in collective remembrance, sharing stories that span decades and mediums, and reminding one another that while fame is fleeting, legacy, the ways in which people change our lives, can be timeless. Beyond the immediate shockwaves of grief, the ripple effects of these losses reveal how interconnected public life has become with the private experiences of fans and communities alike. Social media, while often criticized for its speed and lack of nuance, has become a primary site of collective mourning. Following the news of Roger Allor's passing, animation forums and Disney fan groups erupted in tributes, sharing not only screenshots from The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, but also essays, drawings, and video edits honoring the man behind the stories. Young animators recalled Allor's mentorship, how he encouraged experimental techniques, blending classical hand-drawn animation with early CGI, and how he always emphasized the heart of storytelling over spectacle. Many of these tributes were tinged with nostalgia, as adults reflected on the formative impact of his work on childhood imaginations. His influence, it seems, transcends generations, proving that artistry, when sincere, creates a timeless bridge between creators and audiences. In Ireland, the sudden loss of Neil Martin prompted a flurry of on-air commemorations across RTÉ's programming. Morning shows featured segments where colleagues recalled his dedication to uncovering untold stories, his insistence on accuracy even under pressure, and his subtle humor that often lightened tense newsroom moments. Fans tweeted memories of Martin's coverage of everything from local politics to humanitarian crises abroad, noting how his storytelling shaped not only the news, but also public empathy. Martin's death became a moment for many to reflect on the importance of responsible journalism in an age of misinformation, demonstrating how a journalist's influence often extends beyond headlines into the hearts and conscience of society itself. Meanwhile, the tragic story of Kiana Underwood's hit-and-run death opened conversations about the fragility of life and the dangers faced by pedestrians in urban environments. Beyond her on-screen performances, Underwood had become a vocal advocate for safer streets and pedestrian rights, a cause that now gains renewed urgency in the wake of her passing. Fans flooded her social media with memories of her performances and tributes emphasizing her kindness, her determination to mentor younger actors, and her efforts to support arts education. The investigation into her death continues, and the case has inspired calls for legal reform and heightened awareness of hit-and-run incidents, turning private grief into public advocacy. Esther Thomas, known to her followers as Sunshine, was mourned not just for her comedy, but for the authenticity and joy she brought to social media culture. Online creators described Thomas as a trailblazer in content creation, someone who transformed everyday life and personal quirks into viral comedy that connected across continents. Her death after surgery highlighted both the human vulnerability behind influencer culture and the emotional intensity of digital communities who feel they know these figures intimately. Memorials ranged from live-stream tributes to collections of her most beloved skits, illustrating how her humor and warmth will continue to live online, creating a digital legacy that both celebrates her talent and mourns her absence. Marian Diamond's death at 89 prompted retrospectives that spanned nearly a century of British television, stage, and radio history. Her career, punctuated by both leading and supporting roles, demonstrated a versatility rarely seen across multiple mediums. Fans remembered her voice performances in adaptations of Harry Potter, her appearances in groundbreaking soap operas, and her commitment to roles that explored social themes and human psychology. Fellow actors emphasized her mentorship, often citing her encouragement as a reason many younger performers remained in the industry. The tributes reflected not just respect for her craft but gratitude for the example she set in balancing fame with humility and professionalism. In motorsports, Greg Biffle's memorial reminded fans and colleagues alike that heroes are human, and tragedies can strike even those accustomed to high-speed exhilaration. Stories shared during the service recounted Biffle's willingness to support up-and-coming racers, his community involvement, and the fierce loyalty he maintained to his fans. Despite the extraordinary circumstances of his death, the outpouring of support underscored a universal truth. When a figure impacts lives in multiple spheres, sporting achievement, mentorship, family engagement, the grief is magnified and the memory lives on in countless personal narratives. Amid these mourning moments, conversations about the ethics of reporting and verifying deaths of public figures became prominent. Viral death hoaxes, such as those circulating about Shah Rukh Khan and John Hamm, created waves of emotional roller coasters for fans, demonstrating both the power and peril of social media. Experts argued that the speed of misinformation can exacerbate grief, spread false narratives, and create unnecessary anxiety for families and fans alike. The phenomenon has sparked renewed calls for responsible journalism and digital literacy, particularly among younger audiences who may struggle to differentiate verified news from viral hoaxes. In a broader cultural context, this week has become an inadvertent reflection on mortality, legacy, and the way society processes the passing of public figures. Every memorial, tribute video, or fan tweet not only honors the individual, but also represents the human desire to hold onto stories, memories, and the inspiration provided by those who touched our lives. The deaths remind us that fame is fleeting, influence is transient, and yet the impact of creativity, authenticity, and passion can endure across decades, continents, and platforms. Grief has spurred action as well as reflection. Charitable foundations have announced initiatives in the names of the departed, including scholarships for aspiring animators, journalism grants, and arts education programs. Online communities have organized live streams, memorial edits, and art challenges, creating spaces for collective remembrance and catharsis. The stories of these lives lost, interwoven with personal anecdotes and public tributes, reinforce the enduring human need to celebrate life even in the shadow of death. As the days unfold following these departures, the world has increasingly turned to reflection on the ways public figures shape culture beyond their immediate work. Roger Allor's contributions to animation, for example, are not merely cinematic achievements, they are part of a global language of storytelling. His films like The Lion King are infused with themes of responsibility, loss, and the cyclical nature of life, resonating with audiences of all ages. In classrooms and animation workshops worldwide, Allor's techniques are dissected, studied, and adapted, ensuring that his creative vision continues to influence the next generation of storytellers. Scholars and fans alike note how his work bridged classical animation with the emerging digital era, preserving the warmth of hand-drawn artistry while embracing technological innovation. In interviews, colleagues remembered Allors as a visionary with an unassuming humility, someone who saw collaboration as integral to storytelling and encouraged others to find their unique voice in a competitive industry. Similarly, Neil Martin's passing has sparked broader discussions on the human side of journalism. Beyond headlines and investigative reporting, Martin's impact is measured in the moments when his storytelling gave voice to the voiceless and clarity to complex issues. Young journalists now cite him as an inspiration for his insistence on ethical reporting, his empathy in covering sensitive topics, and his ability to humanize the news without sacrificing accuracy. Public tributes emphasized that Martin's professionalism went hand in hand with kindness, mentoring interns and colleagues in ways that often went unnoticed, but left an enduring mark on the industry. His death is not just a personal loss to family and colleagues. It is a cultural moment that underscores the vital role of principled journalism in society. Kiana Underwood's untimely death has prompted both mourning and calls to action in the entertainment and legal communities. Her career, though tragically short, was marked by a relentless drive to connect with audiences and elevate the voices of younger performers. On stage and screen, she displayed versatility, shifting seamlessly from comedy to drama, and an authenticity that made her performances relatable and resonant. Activists and fans alike have used her story to spotlight pedestrian safety, urban planning, and legal reforms surrounding hit-and-run incidents. Memorial fundraisers and scholarship initiatives in her name aim to support young performers navigating the industry, ensuring that Underwood's commitment to mentorship and creativity continues to bear fruit even in her absence. The influence of Esther Thomas, known as Sunshine, speaks to the power of digital creators in shaping modern culture. Thomas's comedy, characterized by sharp wit and relatable humor, became a source of daily joy for countless followers. Beyond entertainment, she embodied resilience and positivity, creating a digital persona that encouraged others to embrace their quirks and find community online. Her passing after surgery reminded audiences that behind curated content exists real life, and that the pressures and vulnerabilities of public figures are often invisible. Online tributes, spanning continents and languages, illustrate the reach and significance of her work, with fans sharing stories of how her humor helped them navigate difficult personal circumstances. In death, Thomas's digital presence continues to foster connection, a reminder of the unique ways social media can preserve legacy. Marian Diamond's contributions to British entertainment were both foundational and transformative. Over nearly 9 decades, she witnessed and participated in a cultural evolution spanning radio, television, and film. Her performances on Brookside and other programs offered nuanced portrayals that challenged stereotypes and brought humanity to the small screen. Colleagues spoke of her mentorship, noting that she fostered creativity and courage in younger actors navigating the industry. Diamond's influence extended beyond performance. Her dedication to preserving and advancing the craft of acting ensured that her impact would persist long after her final curtain call. Fans remembered her not only as a performer, but as a figure of grace and dedication, someone whose career exemplified the fusion of talent, work ethic, and compassion. The memorial for Greg Biffle has similarly resonated far beyond the racetrack. Known for his fearlessness behind the wheel, Biffle was equally revered for his generosity, sportsmanship, and deep commitment to community engagement. His tragic death, alongside his family, transformed mourning into a collective examination of risk, legacy, and the human side of celebrity athletes. Fellow drivers, racing organizations, and fans emphasized how Biffle's life was defined not only by competition but also by mentorship, philanthropy, and devotion to his family. Memorials highlighted stories of him supporting young racers, advocating for driver safety, and building programs that encouraged community participation in motorsports. His legacy, though interrupted by tragedy, continues to influence the culture of racing and the lives of those inspired by his career. Amid these reflections, the public has also confronted the accelerating phenomenon of death hoaxes. Viral rumors about prominent figures like Shah Rukh Khan and John Hamm illustrate both the emotional volatility of social media and the need for critical engagement with information online. The collective experience of grieving for those who have not passed underscores the psychological impact of misinformation and the importance of verifying sources before engaging emotionally with unconfirmed news. Experts emphasize that in a world of instantaneous digital communication, a single viral post can affect millions, creating anxiety, confusion, and emotional upheaval that ripple far beyond the circle of the individual targeted by the rumor. Collectively, these events form a tapestry of remembrance, grief, and reflection that spans continents and communities. Fans, colleagues, and strangers alike have engaged in a ritual of memory, sharing art, writing, performances, and stories that honor those lost while contemplating the fragility and significance of human life. Charitable initiatives, scholarship funds, and public dedications underscore a broader societal impulse to transform grief into positive action, ensuring that the legacies of the departed continue to foster growth, inspiration, and connection. In many ways, the losses of this week have provided an opportunity for society to examine what it values in public figures: creativity, mentorship, integrity, humor, courage, and humanity. Each life, from animation pioneer to journalist, child actor, influencer, British actress, and sports legend, highlights a different facet of cultural impact, revealing how deeply human connections can be forged through work, performance, and personal example. Social media has amplified these moments, but so too have personal recollections, memorial services, and professional tributes that highlight the enduring importance of celebrating lives fully lived. Even as mourning continues, the global conversation has turned to legacy and remembrance. How will future generations interpret the contributions of Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marion Diamond, and Greg Biffle? What lessons can be drawn from their lives and work? How can fans, colleagues, and communities ensure that their influence extends beyond their physical presence into lasting inspiration? These questions shape the narratives of this week's collective grief, prompting both reflection and action, and illustrating the profound ways in which public figures touch private lives across time, geography, and medium. Looking deeper into the lives of those lost this week reveals not just achievements, but the human stories behind public personas. Roger Allers' early life in Ohio was marked by a fascination with storytelling, art, and music. He began drawing at a young age, sketching scenes inspired by the natural world and classic literature. His journey into animation was neither swift nor easy. He spent years learning the intricacies of hand-drawn techniques, studying under mentors, and navigating the competitive environment of Disney in the 1980s. Colleagues remember his tenacity and curiosity, recounting how he often stayed late in the studio, experimenting with new methods to capture emotion on the screen. Allers' work ethic was matched by his humility. Despite his fame and the monumental success of The Lion King, he consistently credited his teams and collaborators. Fans have shared stories of how his films shaped their moral imagination, inspired dreams of artistic careers, and created family traditions that span generations, cementing his legacy as both a master storyteller and a cultural touchstone. Neil Martin's path to journalism was similarly shaped by dedication and a deep curiosity about the world. Born in Dublin, he developed a love for language and storytelling early on, writing for local newspapers before moving into broadcast journalism. His career at RT was defined by a commitment to uncovering truth with compassion, covering sensitive social issues, and giving voice to communities often overlooked by mainstream media. Colleagues describe Martin's calm, steady presence in high-pressure situations, his meticulous attention to detail, and his ability to humanize complex stories without sensationalism. Audiences remember the trust he inspired, not merely through information, but through the integrity and care evident in every report. In the days following his passing, viewer tributes recounted how his reporting informed, comforted, and even guided personal decisions, underscoring the profound societal role of ethical journalism. Kiana Underwood's story is one of talent and resilience. From her early days on Nickelodeon, she demonstrated a natural ability to connect with audiences, blending charm, humor, and a keen emotional intelligence. Beyond television, she pursued theater and music, mentoring young performers and advocating for arts education programs in underfunded schools. Her tragic death in a hit-and-run accident at just 33 sparked widespread mourning, but also activism. Urban planners, community organizers, and legal advocates have used her story as a rallying point to push for safer streets and stricter traffic regulations. Fans shared personal memories online, recalling how her performances made them laugh, inspired them, or reminded them of the importance of pursuing passions with courage and heart. Esther Thomas, or Sunshine, represents the power of the digital age to create communities and human connection. Her comedic skits, often drawn from everyday life, resonated with audiences worldwide, demonstrating a unique ability to find humor in the ordinary. Beyond her content, Thomas was known for her generosity in mentoring new creators, sharing tips and encouragement that helped others navigate the pressures of social media fame. Tributes poured in from every continent, with fans posting compilations of her best work, stories of personal inspiration, and reflections on how her humor helped them through difficult times. Her untimely passing after surgery highlighted the vulnerability behind online personas, reminding the world that the people who make us laugh are themselves human, with lives and challenges unseen by the public eye. Marian Diamond's life and career embody dedication to craft and the evolving art of storytelling. From her early roles on British radio to her celebrated performances on television, she navigated decades of shifting media landscapes with grace and intelligence. Her work in Brookside, voice performances in adaptations of beloved novels, and appearances in theater productions displayed a remarkable versatility, inspiring generations of performers. Behind the scenes, Diamond was a mentor and advocate, offering guidance and encouragement to younger actors navigating the challenges of creative work. Fans and colleagues alike remembered her not just for her talent, but for her kindness, generosity, and unwavering professionalism, ensuring that her legacy would be felt long after her final performance. The story of Greg Biffle underscores the human dimensions of athletic achievement. Beyond his victories on the racetrack, Biffle was known for his mentorship of young drivers, his engagement with local communities, and his efforts to promote safety and education within motorsports. His tragic death, along with his family, became a national moment of mourning, highlighting the fragility of life even for those accustomed to high-risk professions. Memorials emphasize the way Biffle's spirit extended beyond competition, his willingness to lift others, his devotion to fans, and his commitment to family shaped a legacy that transcends statistics and trophies. Public reaction to these losses has been immediate and deeply personal. Social media timelines are filled with heartfelt tributes, artwork, and reflections from fans, colleagues, and peers. Messages of grief and admiration have crossed borders and languages, revealing the universal impact of lives lived with creativity, integrity, and authenticity. Across platforms, People have shared stories of inspiration, how Allers' films shaped childhoods, how Martin's reporting fostered understanding, how Underwood and Thomas brought joy and mentorship, how Diamond and Biffle set examples of professionalism and generosity. These shared experiences highlight a profound truth. Public figures leave behind more than careers. They leave memories, values, and inspiration that ripple across time and space. Memorial events have also reflected the multifaceted legacies of those lost. Animation retrospectives, tribute broadcasts, social media vigils, and racing memorials have provided spaces for collective reflection. Charitable initiatives, scholarship programs, and mentorship funds established in their names ensure that the influence of these individuals continues to touch lives in concrete ways. By celebrating both achievements and personal qualities, these memorials have become acts of cultural preservation, affirming that even in loss, communities can find continuity, learning, and connection. In contemplating the deaths of Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marion Diamond, and Greg Biffle, it becomes clear that the impact of a life is measured not just by fame or accomplishment, but by the ways in which individuals touch the hearts, minds, and spirits of others. Their stories are intertwined with the larger cultural fabric, offering lessons in creativity, resilience, humor, integrity, and generosity. In remembering them, the world collectively affirms that the echoes of their lives will continue to shape art, media, community, and imagination for years to come. In the wake of these losses, fans worldwide have engaged in a remarkable outpouring of remembrance, transforming private grief into collective commemoration. Social media has served as both a stage and a sanctuary for this mourning, where hashtags honoring Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marion Diamond, and Greg Biffle trended in multiple countries. From animated GIFs highlighting Allers' most iconic sequences to video compilations celebrating Underwood's theatrical performances, these posts are part of a larger digital memorial landscape that reflects the intimacy and immediacy of contemporary fan culture. For many, scrolling through these tributes is not merely an act of mourning, but a ritual of memory, an opportunity to relive formative moments of joy, inspiration, and emotional connection. International fan communities have been particularly active in honoring Allers' legacy. In animation forums and creative hubs, individuals have shared personal sketches, fan films, and essays dissecting his artistic techniques and storytelling philosophy. Workshops and online masterclasses inspired by his methodology have appeared overnight, demonstrating a desire to keep his vision alive and to educate new generations of animators. The impact of these tributes is both educational and emotional, illustrating the power of creative work to transcend mortality and remain influential even as the artist themselves passes. These gestures have been mirrored globally, with conventions and cultural institutions planning posthumous retrospectives, exhibitions, and screenings in his honor. For Neil Martin, the response has been equally profound, particularly in Ireland and among international audiences familiar with his reporting. Tributes have spanned live broadcast segments, social media posts, and personal essays, all reflecting the trust and connection he cultivated over decades. Colleagues and viewers alike shared stories of Martin's calm demeanor during breaking news, his empathy in reporting human tragedies, and his unwavering commitment to truth. Beyond professional admiration, fans have noted the personal warmth that radiated from his presence on camera, a combination of intelligence, sensitivity, and integrity that made his reporting not just informative, but profoundly humanizing. Educational programs in journalism are already referencing his career as a model for ethical reporting, ensuring that his principles endure for future generations of media professionals. Kiana Underwood's death ignited a wave of grief and advocacy across multiple platforms. Her performances inspired fan art, social media collages, and tributes that emphasized her authenticity and versatility. Theater communities, in particular, have come together to establish scholarships and mentorship opportunities in her memory, aiming to support emerging performers who embody her dedication to craft and compassion toward peers. Urban advocacy groups have also leveraged her story to draw attention to pedestrian safety and public policy reform, turning tragedy into a platform for positive societal change. Fans' responses are often intensely personal, reflecting the way Underwood's performances and public persona touched individual lives, reminding the world that even brief lives can leave enduring impressions. Esther Thomas's passing prompted one of the most widespread social media campaigns of the week, with followers across continents celebrating her humor, optimism, and relatability. Tributes ranged from video compilations and meme tributes to charitable fundraising for healthcare initiatives in her honor, illustrating the diverse ways digital communities can transform grief into action. Online creator networks emphasized her role as a mentor and pioneer, highlighting how her work helped redefine modern digital comedy and community engagement. Her story serves as a testament to the increasingly influential role of social media figures, demonstrating how cultural impact is no longer confined to traditional media but can emerge from authentic, consistent, and relatable online presence. In the United Kingdom, Marian Diamond's death inspired a multifaceted cultural reflection on the evolution of performance arts over the past century. Tributes have spanned television documentaries, theatrical memorials, and radio retrospectives that examine her career, from early radio drama to her celebrated appearances on television. Colleagues and fans alike have emphasized her mentorship, professionalism, and the depth she brought to every role, framing her legacy as a touchstone for future actors navigating the complexities of both stage and screen. Scholarly reflections have also begun to emerge, highlighting how Diamond's performances contributed to cultural conversations about gender, representation, and the evolution of narrative forms in British entertainment. Greg Biffle's memorial sparked widespread reflection on risk, mortality, and community within the world of motorsports. Fans, racing teams, and fellow athletes shared tributes emphasizing his contributions beyond racing, his commitment to safety initiatives, mentorship programs, and local philanthropy. Social media platforms were flooded with images from races, fan memorabilia, and personal anecdotes, capturing the breadth of his influence. Beyond the racetrack, discussions have arisen about balancing high-performance sports with personal well-being, highlighting how public figures' lives can shape broader societal understanding of professional and personal responsibility. Across these communities, a recurring theme has emerged: the intersection of mortality, memory, and cultural legacy. Each death has prompted reflection not only on the individual's achievements, but also on the ways society engages with fame, art, and influence. From fan-generated tributes to institutional retrospectives, these acts of remembrance underscore the human need to process loss, honor contribution, and sustain cultural heritage. Whether through animation, journalism, theater, digital content, or sport, the influence of the departed continues to ripple outward, shaping the experiences, ambitions, and values of those who remain. Furthermore, the events of this week illuminate the evolving nature of public mourning. Social media, global connectivity, and digital archives allow collective memory to manifest in ways unimaginable in previous generations. Fans can instantly share art, essays, or personal reflections. Communities can organize memorial campaigns, and legacies can be preserved in multimedia formats that remain accessible to generations yet to come. In this sense, mourning has become a participatory cultural act, one that bridges private grief with public recognition, creating networks of remembrance that are at once personal, communal, and enduring. Even as grief dominates headlines, these narratives also reinforce a sense of continuity and inspiration. By celebrating the creativity, integrity, humor, mentorship, and courage of Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marian Diamond, and Greg Biffle, communities reaffirm the enduring value of human endeavor. Their stories exemplify how life, no matter how brief or extraordinary, leaves lasting imprints, shaping art, culture, policy, and individual imagination long after physical presence fades. As the week of mourning unfolds, a deeper reflection emerges on the broader societal implications of these losses. The deaths of Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marian Diamond, and Greg Biffle collectively highlight the diverse ways in which human creativity, dedication, and courage shape culture. They remind us that influence is not confined to awards, accolades, or social media followers, but is measured in inspiration, mentorship, and the ways individuals leave their mark on others' lives. Allers films continue to teach emotional literacy through storytelling. Martin's journalism exemplifies the moral and ethical obligations of information. Underwood and Thomas show the transformative power of performance and connection. Diamond reminds us of the importance of craft, discipline, and mentorship, and Biffle demonstrates courage, community engagement, and commitment in the world of competitive sport. Each life offers lessons that extend far beyond the immediate sphere of fame. Cultural commentators have noted that these losses serve as a lens through which society evaluates the nature of legacy itself. What does it mean to leave a mark on the world? How does one balance personal achievement with the impact on others? In the case of Roger Allers, discussions have emerged about the responsibility of artists to inspire, educate, and mentor the next generation, highlighting how the values embedded in his films, family, integrity, courage, are as influential as the visual spectacle. Similarly, Martin's career underscores the societal necessity of ethical reporting, demonstrating that legacies can be as much about principles and influence on professional culture as they are about personal recognition. For younger audiences and digital communities, the deaths of Kiana Underwood and Esther Thomas resonate in a uniquely modern way. Both embodied the democratization of fame, talent, authenticity, and engagement, rather than institutional approval, propelled them into the public eye. Their legacies highlight the potential of new media to inspire, foster creativity, and create intimate connections between creator and audience. Social media tributes reflect not only grief, but a participatory sense of ownership over memory, as fans actively contribute to preserving and amplifying the stories of those they admired. Through virtual memorials, online compilations, and interactive platforms, the influence of these figures continues to thrive in a format that is immediate, enduring, and communal. In reflecting on Marian Diamond, critics and audiences alike have emphasized how the evolution of media across her lifetime provides context for understanding longevity and adaptability. Her career spanned decades of change, from live radio performances to modern television, and in each era, she adapted, innovated, and excelled. Diamond's story reminds us that legacy is not static. It evolves with the contributions of the individual, the memory of audiences, and the ongoing work of those who carry forward lessons of dedication, professionalism, and artistic excellence. Greg Biffle's passing, meanwhile, offers lessons in courage, mentorship, and personal integrity. Beyond the thrill of racing, his commitment to safety initiatives, charitable work, and support for emerging drivers demonstrates that influence is not solely about individual achievement, but also about how one uplifts and guides others. Fans' recollections of Biffle frequently highlight this duality, the public triumphs of a legendary athlete alongside the private virtues of a devoted mentor and family man. His death becomes not only a moment of mourning but also an opportunity to examine the responsibilities inherent in prominence and the ways one life can affect countless others. Collectively, these stories illuminate a profound truth about fame, mortality, and cultural memory. The lives that resonate most are those that connect achievement with humanity. Across animation studios, newsrooms, theaters, digital platforms, and racetracks, the legacies left behind are measured not merely in creative output or competitive victories, but in how lives were touched, inspired, and transformed. Every tribute, memorial service, social media post, scholarship, and charitable initiative ensures that the essence of these figures endures, allowing their influence to extend beyond lifespan into the realm of enduring cultural impact. This week has also sparked philosophical reflection on the fragility and preciousness of life. For fans, colleagues, and communities worldwide, the suddenness of these deaths underscores the urgency of valuing connections, nurturing creativity, and acting with empathy. As viral death hoaxes remind the public of the emotional volatility of modern media, the confirmed losses offer a sobering counterpoint. Grief and remembrance are integral aspects of human culture, and the ways society honors life, even in death, can provide meaning, continuity, and inspiration. Looking forward, the legacies of these figures are already manifesting in tangible ways. Retrospectives of Allers' animation work are being planned internationally. Journalism students study Martin's ethics and storytelling techniques. Theater programs and scholarships bear the names of Underwood and Thomas. Archival efforts and acting mentorship honor Diamond, and motorsport initiatives continue in Biffle's name. In each case, the impact of these lives continues to grow posthumously, reinforcing the idea that legacy is a living, evolving phenomenon shaped by community, culture, and memory. Ultimately, the week's events remind us that death, while inevitable, does not erase the influence of a life well lived. The stories of Roger Allers, Neil Martin, Kiana Underwood, Esther Thomas, Marion Diamond, and Greg Biffle illustrate the myriad ways humans touch one another through creativity, integrity, mentorship, humor, courage, and kindness. Public mourning, online tributes, charitable initiatives, and cultural retrospectives collectively preserve their memory while inspiring the living to carry forward the principles and passions that define them. In honoring these individuals, society affirms a universal truth. The measure of a life lies not in its duration, but in its depth, reach, and resonance.